Welcome back to another episode of Stuck at Home in Lockdown. Today I'm finishing off the 6BT build. First order of business today is to build a dump pipe. I'm using 4-inch mild steel. The Dodge fuel filter canister and lift pump both have to go as they're in the way of where I need to run the exhaust. The factory lift pump on these is driven by the cam, so this blanking plate will cover the hole in the block. This is a Playtime 3-inch exhaust for a ZD30. Here you can see the CAT converter, which I've welded a 4-inch V-band onto. That puts the exhaust in the perfect position to meet the dump pipe I'm making. Scrap steel is used to make a bracket to bolt the dump pipe to the block. It's not really necessary to make a template or design for building an exhaust like this. Using prefab bends makes it quite simple to just cut them to size, eyeball roughly where they need to go, tack weld them together and cut them to make adjustments if you need. The vertical section was the trickiest, but combining a couple of 45 degrees gave me quite a bit of flexibility in how to put it together. These welds are showroom quality. So, because I got rid of the lift pump, I'm going to need something to pump fuel and a filter. I've gone with an AirDog combined fuel pump, filter, water separator and fuel pressure regulator. This is probably a good time as well to sort out this fuel line, which need to be secured to the body with P-clips, keep them off the exhaust. The AirDog uses GM style quick connect fittings, which are actually really nice. That replaces the supply from the filter canister into the P-pump. This little fitting allows the banjo bolt from the fuel return off the injectors to be plumbed into the return to the tank. The AirDog is pretty tall. There's really only two places to mount it under a Patrol, either on the driver's side where the sub-tank is, or on the passenger side where the muffler is. Now, I still want to use the sub-tank, so it's going on the passenger side. The bracket the AirDog comes with is designed for a Dodge chassis, so I'm modifying it and welding it to the Patrol chassis. There's stuff all clearance, but it was possible to mount it in such a way that I can still fit a bash plate underneath it to protect it. The AirDog supplies too much fuel pressure for the factory overflow valve, so I'm fitting this Torque Tech replacement. Doesn't actually have any moving parts in it, it just seems to be a restrictor. I spent some time putting together some brackets to hold the intercooler. I cut the upright out that was in the center of the radiator support to provide enough clearance. These brackets don't really look it, but they're actually super strong. They turned out to be really rigid and I'm super happy with them. The Harmonic Balancer is stuffed. All the rubber's completely flogged out, so I've got a new one to go on. This one was supplied by Kelvin from Mark 1 Engineering. You can see this one pretty clearly wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. I put together some radiator hoses. This one is made from a AU Falcon hose and a piece of a VL Commodore hose and a joiner. The bottom one is just a 90-degree hose. These are the power steering cooler lines. I've used the heat exchanger in the bottom of the radiator to cool it. This is an AFC Live. I showed this in a previous episode but didn't install it, so now's the time. This is basically a tuner that changes how much on-boost fueling you get. The AFC Live intercepts the boost reference between the manifold and the AFC, so in order to connect it, we change the fittings on the pump and the intake manifold. This little hose barb supplies my boost pressure sensor. The GoPro died on me as it likes to do, but I disassembled the AFC Live and installed it into the bottom of the center console for easy access. Kelvin from Marquand yet again delivered the goods with this airbox. It's very well made. He made it purely from measurements that I took and sent to him. It has a 3-inch inlet and outlet. The airbox was a piece of cake to install. It uses an O-ring clamp style fitting to connect a bend to the outlet, which you can then cut to size and rotate to suit your install. It was a pretty unusual setup, and I've not seen it before, but it worked really well. I'd just gone to fill the coolant up for the first time and this happened. Serves me right for not replacing the water pump to begin with. Not a big deal. Thankfully, a new genuine unit gives me the peace of mind I should have given myself to begin with. I hooked up the lines for the washers, but they don't go anywhere at the moment because there's no room for the washer bottle. I did, however, secure the transcooler lines so that they're not rubbing on the steering. I've also put the heat shields back on the exhaust, making sure that it clears the transfer case, which is now mounted further back and was fouling. Pretty simple to bend that out of the way though. Thanks to the Air Dog, the other heat shield wasn't going to fit. I'm not too sure how to make a nice looking heat shield, but for now just cutting a chunk out of it and bending it has done the job. Going back to the intercooler, the inlets and outlets were fouling on the bull bar, so I've cut a small chunk of the upright brackets off. You can see here they're really just tiny pieces, they're not structural at all. Bull bar fits pretty nicely around the intercooler and has just enough clearance for the back of the winch. I've also gotten the exhaust ceramic coated. It sort of hides my welds a little bit. That's subjective, but I plan to wrap this anyway. Ceramic coating works as a great insulator on the exhaust and keeps lots of heat inside the pipe instead of radiating out into the engine bay. This is what $400 from ProFlow gets you. These are 12 AN fittings for the breathers coming off the tappet cover. I assemble the hoses using engine oil to get them onto the barbs. I'm also blanking off one of the breathers because this engine doesn't have much blow-by at all. I don't think it's really needed. We'll see. At some point I'll get this threaded bung welded onto the intake, and that's where I'm going to vent the crankcase vent. This short braided hose replaces the dual oil feed that fed both the vacuum pump and the P-pump with just a line that goes to the P-pump. I'm not going to be using the mechanical vacuum or steering pump, so this black plate will cover the hole up in the back of the timing case. Front prop shaft finally went on. I'm very glad that it fitted because I did not check that when I positioned the engine and gearbox. Again, just using some generic pipe and some random 90-degree fittings found at Autobarn, I'm able to put together the heater hoses. I may look into a heat shield for these hoses and the fuel return that's against the firewall there later on if I need it. We'll see. Now, this is a coolant to oil heat exchanger. I'm using it to cool the transmission, however Wholesale Auto have told me that it's not adequate. For the time being, I'm using the heater hoses as a supply of coolant, which is really restricted and only has flow when the heater is on. So I'm going to try it with a pump coming straight from the radiator hoses and we'll see how it goes. In the time being, don't copy this idea because it might not work. This fitting down the bottom right, I've since changed for a 45 degree, which is giving me much more clearance.
Hey guys, I'm here with Kelvin from Mark One Engineering. How you going? I'll shake your hand. There you go. Do those ones on camera. Today I'm at his workshop and he's going to build me some intercooler pipes.
That's right.
So yeah, we'll get into it.
Yep.
I haven't got much time, so
no,
Kelvin wants his rig, wants his beast of a rig to get ready to go away, and
both of them ready for the weekend.
That's it. So I want to do something this weekend as well.
Yeah.
So everything's in. I've got the intercooler in. I'll show you all that. That's all good to go, and we'll just smash the bull bar off and start building some pipes.
Beautiful.
Kelvin is using 3-inch stainless to make my intercooler pipes, and with the same basic method of eyeballing the bends and cutting them to suit.
What happened?
Oh, the front fell off.
Sweet. I think that's build mostly complete. We've just popped this hose off and I'm going to give it a quick rev just to make sure there's no crap in the intercooler or whatever. That is some nice pipe work. Cheers, dude.
No worries.
We have boost. So mate, thank you very much. I am
Not a
super
problem
stoked
at
with
all.
that. That came out so good. Those pipes look mint as well. So.
Yeah, cheers mate, no worries.
Mark Wand Engineering, everybody, absolute legend.
Enjoy your weekend,
Thank
mate.
you. Alright guys, Patrol is looking pretty finished. The intercooler pipes are all done and it's not quite finished yet, but it's pretty close and I can take it for a drive and see what it's like. So let's do that.